Thank you, choir. Every time I hear that song, I still always want to say, winter is a quiet contemplation. And now we turn to Hanukkah, and I'm so happy and honored to have a special guest here tonight for this portion of the candlelighting service. I wanted to have an interfaith service because I know there is wisdom in all paths to God, and light is a symbol for many in faith. And the most wonderful opportunity surfaced because, you see, in July of this year, the Chico's Jewish community, Congregation Beth Israel, chose a new spiritual leader. And that new leader is Reb Lisa Rappaport, who happens to be Connie Asquith's daughter. And I asked Reb Lisa if she would join us tonight to share the Hanukkah tradition, share it as the Jewish community celebrates the light during this season, so that it would be done authentically rather than me Googling on. Not that I haven't studied the Jewish tradition, but being able to bring it authentically. And I'm just very grateful that you accepted. Now, of course, I feel like I need a little more background and a deeper introduction. Reb Lisa has a BA in psychology from UC Berkeley, has an MA in transpersonal counseling psychology from JFK University. She has nearly 30 years combined experience as an educator, has been a counselor, an administrator, and a spiritual leader. So I have to say I definitely feel a kindred spirit with her. Please help me welcome Reb Lisa.
What a beautiful welcome, thank you. And yes, I am Connie Asquith's daughter, so different last name. So before we start, I want to make sure that we all know how to pronounce Hanukkah correctly. So I'm sure you've seen it spelled with an H, which would make you want to say Hanukkah, very breathy H. Have you seen it with a CH? And you think, wait, is it Chanukkah? I thought it was Hanukkah. So the reason why it's very difficult for English speakers to pronounce this word is because it has a sound that does not exist in the English language. In Hebrew, Hanukkah begins with the letter chet, which we don't have that letter. We don't even have a letter that makes that sound. So that is why it is pronounced Hanukkah. You'll be hearing me say that quite a bit. So just if you're wondering what that is, that's how we pronounce it. So Hanukkah begins every year on the 25th of the month and continues for 8 nights. You probably think I mean the 25th of December. But it actually falls on the 25th of Kislev on the Hebrew calendar. So that's a Hebrew month, and the Hebrew calendar follows a lunar cycle. So the dates of Hanukkah vary each year on the Gregorian calendar, but what is true is that every year Hanukkah falls, as you mentioned, during this darkest, coldest days on the calendar, in the northern hemisphere anyway. It is during this time of year, in the season where the temperatures drop, we've all felt that, haven't we? The days are short and the darkness descends earlier and earlier, that many of the world's traditions focus on light. Judaism shares this tradition, of course, with the light created by the candles on the 8-branched menorah. Hanukkah is a holiday commemorating miracles and light, courage, and perseverance. The deep spiritual significance of the holiday is rooted in the historical events that make up the Hanukkah story. So this story takes place a very, very long time ago, as we talked about, but it's obviously not the oldest holiday on the block. Thank you for that education. 10,000 years BC? Wow. It begins in the land of Israel. This is the time of the Second Temple, a spiritual center that was considered the most holy and special for the Jewish people. At that time, there was a cruel leader, King Antiochus. There's that ch sound again, Antiochus. And he ruled over the Jewish people. He disliked the Jews because they were different and worshipped in ways that were foreign to him. Ultimately, he outlawed the Jewish religion and ordered the Jews instead to worship Greek gods. This oppression of religious and spiritual freedom culminated in the year 168 BCE when the king ordered a massacre and a devastating desecration of this sacred center, the Holy Temple. The Jews of Judea had been pushed to their limit, and led by Judah Maccabee, they summoned the courage to stand up to the forces of hatred and evil. And ultimately, the Jews reigned victorious and reclaimed their temple. And as they worked to restore this holy space, they discovered that King Antiochus and his soldiers had destroyed all but one small cruse of oil to light what's known as the Ner Tamid, the eternal light that never burns out. It was only going to be enough oil for one day, but the problem in those days is that you couldn't just run to Home Depot and get more oil. It took 8 days to make more oil. And so the Maccabees decided to light the lamp anyway. What was to only last one day actually lasted all 8 days until they were able to get more oil. So they were never without light. Our sages teach us that this is a miracle. To keep the story of this miracle alive in every generation, we engage in the rituals of Chanukkah. For instance, we eat foods fried in oil as part of the holiday celebration. If you've been to a Hanukkah party, you've likely had latkes, which are potato pancakes, or donuts. These are the most traditional. And we also commemorate the light, the miracle of the oil that continued unabated when there was clearly only enough oil for one night, by lighting a candle each night for 8 consecutive nights. We incorporate this story on a deep level, both historically and spiritually. So now for a little rabbinic teaching. There's an ancient rabbinic dispute between Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai. These are ancient rabbis. And it teaches us not just how to actually light the menorah, the direction, so to speak, but adds an added spiritual dimension for how to incorporate one of Hanukkah's most profound messages, the miracle of the light. The dispute goes as follows. Rabbi Shammai argued that you should light all 8 candles at the beginning of the holiday on the first night of Hanukkah, followed by 7 the next night, 6 the next night, and so on until on the last light of Hanukkah there would only be 1 candle lit. He reasoned that the lights should correspond to the days of the holiday still to come. In this way, we will know how many days left to celebrate. But Rabbi Hillel, his arch nemesis, completely disagreed. He argued that we must light 1 candle on the first night, followed by 2 on the second night, and so on until all 8 are lit on the last night of Hanukkah. In this way, Hillel argued, we will know which day of Hanukkah we are celebrating. Based on these arguments, the rabbinic court could not decide which way to rule, which way we should light the menorah. Are there any other reasons, they asked of Hillel and Shammai. Hillel quickly responded, the Hanukkah lights are holy. Yes, they all agreed, they are holy. In matters of holiness, we never reduce or take away. Yes, they all agreed, that's right. Therefore, we should only add and expand on what is already holy. That is why we should increase in light, increase in holiness each night. In this way, we connect to the historical miracle of never being without light, never being without light. Our capacity for opening to miracles widens. Hope and faith are fortified each day of the holiday. Each year, Hanukkah reminds us not to despair, but to lean into the possibility of miracles, even when darkness descends, even when things seem hopeless. The story we tell this time of year reveals at least 2 miracles. The cruse of oil that lasted 8 nights when there was only enough oil for 1 night, and another miracle, the miracle of courage in the face of extreme adversity, hatred, and oppression. Indeed, it is a miracle to access strength and perseverance during dark times. In addition to increasing holiness through the expansion of light, Hanukkah also challenged each of us to access our inner Judah Maccabee, to lead with strength, to have the courage to access our right to be who we are. As such, we kindle our Hanukkah candles with confidence and pride. We show the world our light. We show the world that the miracle of light and courage exists. May the humble flame of the menorah remind us to increase light in the world, especially where there is darkness. And so now we will light the menorah, and I would like to invite my husband some of you know him by Harvey, but his Hebrew name is Chaim, so there's that sound again. Have you ever heard L'chaim? To life. So this is Chaim. He's full of life. So he's going to show us a little bit about how to light the menorah as I talk about it, and then I will lead us in the blessings. So this is not yet. Sorry. we didn't rehearse this. So this menorah is filled as if it were the 8th night of Hanukkah, like Rabbi Hillel, right? So we always light the menorah from right to left, which is the way we read in Hebrew. We're going to do it from your perspective. So we would start here. So the first night would be here, second night here, and so on. However, we kindle the lights in the opposite direction, left to right, so that we're always lighting the newest candle first. There's 9 candles though, right? Is that confusing? I just said there's 8 candles and there's 9. One's taller. We call that the shamash, which is the helper candle, which helps us kindle all of the rest. So we are, in a moment, going to strike the match. And what I'm going to do is there are 2 blessings that we say every night of Hanukkah. And if it's the first night of Hanukkah, we add an additional blessing, which I will share when we get to that point. The first blessing is for lighting the candles. The second blessing is for miracles. Okay, we're going to light the shamash. And as we light it, we sing. Start me off on the first one. Baruch atah Adonai. If you know it, you can join in. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukkah. That roughly translates to, blessed are you, Holy One, ruler of all time and space, who makes us holy with your commandments and commands us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. The second blessing is for miracles. Thank you, Chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim la'avoteinu ve'imoteinu bayamim hachem ba'azman hazeh, which roughly translates to, blessed are you, miraculous one, source and sovereign of everything that ever was, that is, and will be, who did wondrous deeds for our ancestors in days of old, in seasons such as this. And if it were the first night of Hanukkah, the menorah would not look like that. It would have just one little light over here. We would not have increased our light yet. We say a special blessing, which we say any time that we do something for the first time, or when we reach a momentous milestone occasion, like celebrating Hanukkah again, or being with you all here for the first time. It's called the Shehechianu, and it roughly translates to, blessed are you, Holy One of being, who has kept us alive and sustained us and brought us to this very holy and special moment. And I will end this part with how we sing that blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.